What's up, YouTube? I want to make a real quick video about why my Kohler Command Pro 20.5 horsepower would run and idle by itself, but when it was put under a load in this case meaning whenever we put straw through it, the motor would die. You could start the motor up at any time, it would sit there and idle, no problem at all. But when you put load on it, you could also, another analogy would be, you have a mower that runs fine idling. Whenever you start to get into tall grass or mowing with it, it shuts off. This was my reason that this motor was dying. Basically, the fuel line from the fuel tank comes up here, hits your inline fuel filter, goes to your little fuel pump. It's supposed to pull fuel through here, send fuel out of this top one into the carburetor, and then this is the return. So this one goes back around into the top of the tank. So the fuel that's not being used in your motor goes back into your tank, and it just does a big recycling thing like that. Anyways, mine would start and run fine and idle. Whenever I would put straw in it, it would die. This was what the problem was. So these lines are 1/2 inch outside diameter, 1/4 inch inside diameter, and this one was pinched right like that, and it's actually even worse. It's kind of hard to squeeze. It was kind of like that. The reason being, this line was located right here. I've already replaced this, but this line was located right here, and they put this little clamp right here to put your gas line, your inline fuel, right there. Now, when they did that, they didn't leave enough slack on here. It came and it was real tight. I noticed it was real tight right here. So basically, instead of that being a gradual little slope like that, it was basically a 90, and it was cutting off fuel to the motor. This could happen not just with like making a sharp turn, but let's see. So this is the new fuel line. I don't know if you can notice. Let's get some light. There's basically two fuel lines in there. There's one outside one and one on the inside. I've seen where this inside one will collapse from being old, and basically it would look fine on the outside, but from on the inside it would collapse, and when that fuel pump is sucking in gas, it will close and it will starve your motor. Something else to check. You want to check your fuel pump. If all this is fine and you think you got a good line, check your fuel pump. Gas in, gas out, and then, like I said, that's the return. So you can pull this gas out to the carburetor, turn the key. If there's not fuel shooting out of here, you got a bad fuel pump. One other thing on these small motors, it's like a little solenoid inside. Get this out of there, straw everywhere. There's a little solenoid inside these carburetors that basically protects the carburetor from flooding when you're not using it. It wouldn't flood in this particular machine because the fuel tank is lower. But say your fuel tank was mounted up top and there's always a constant flow coming out of it. They put a solenoid on here so that way it doesn't flood the carburetor. So listen, go to turn your key and you want to listen for the sound. I did that on and off 3 times. If you're turning your key and you're not hearing that, your solenoid is probably stuck. Then it wouldn't run. But that could be another reason. Maybe it won't start for you. But anyways, I hope that helps somebody. I'm not trying to over explain this. It's very, very simple. If your motor won't start, check your fuel lines. Make sure there isn't a kink in them. Take them off. For what it is, this whole fuel line is a 6-foot fuel line, and I only used 3 feet of it. It was $10 on Amazon. Buy a new fuel line. What I did to find this problem, I pulled the old fuel line off, and as you see right here, I cut it apart. I kept cutting it apart because I'm thinking, man, it's got a couple of these look fine, but this one in particular, right here, that's all it was. It was just at a 90, and it was smashed down more like that when it was running. So that's enough fuel to get if you're just idling, but when you go to put it under load, like I said, with the straw or mowing grass or anything like that, it wasn't getting enough fuel. This fuel filter was never more than halfway full, and now I just started it. It's already at 3/4 of the way full, and it's keeping its pressure. So hope that helps someone. If you guys have a small motor that won't stay running, or whenever it gets hot and you start putting it under load, it dies. Everybody have a good day.